Omer, it's wonderful having you here on Leadtail TV. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate the opportunity and really excited to speak with you.
Me too. Me too. Well, I'm going to jump right into the thick of things. You describe yourself as a maniacally focused person on the buying experience, which is, it can go in so many different directions when you say that. What does that mean to you?
I love this question because, I have a lot of years and years of experience in B2B. Again, I'm focusing on B2B. And I think the buying experience today is completely outdated and out of focus. I think it's actually broken. Think of what you need to do in order to buy as a B2B buyer. You're being forced to actually speak with a junior salesperson, and then you have to speak with a salesperson, and then you might need to see a demo. And companies are actually dictating the way that you buy. And I think right now there's an amazing opportunity, especially because of the new technology and AI, to really shape the way people are buying and companies are selling. And I think it's going to be a win-win, both for the buyer and the selling company. And what I'm really excited is I know that if we will focus on the buying experience and we'll make it great, it's going to be a win-win and everybody's going to be happy.
That's sounds like a euphoric place for everyone to be happy. But what I know is desirable is the place, at least I think, where we start with the buying experience, which benefits the sellers. So if we start with the buying experience, can we improve the go-to-market process as a side effect for sellers?
Well, absolutely. That's what really makes me excited. I think that if the buyer experience is going to be great, it would be efficient and it would, be based on value. And we won't need so many people to actually hold the hands and deal with everybody. And technology will enable the seller to do a lot with less. So I really think it's a win-win. If we focus on the buyer experience, the selling process would be leaner. You don't need so many resources. It would be better because you'll only get to spend time with the right people at the right time and get to the results. And by the way, I've in my previous company, I was all about the post-sale and customer success. If you focus on the buyer experience and you sell the right value to the right customers and they're happy, retention is higher, satisfaction is higher. So it leads to everything improved in the go-to-market, not specifically just pre-sale, but also post-sale.
Can you give me an example what that looks like? Like play that out for me in terms of where I mean, there's 1,000 things that come to mind. What comes to mind for you in areas that, one, two, or three areas that might be improved?
Well, a couple of things. One, like it or not, buyer expectation had changed. People that are using ChatGPT. I spoke with a friend that is working at Microsoft, and they just introduced the Office 365 Copilot. His eyes were shining when he actually spoke about the type of experience he's having right now in his day-to-day. How his day is actually much improved. He's doing a much better job. Think of the Apple Vision Pro. Those are things that completely change the experience. But in go-to-market, we haven't done this. Again, you have to speak with people. You have to, we're socially hacking our potential prospects, potential customers, just to make sure they answer the phone or just to make sure they answer the email. So I think in terms of experience, companies that are not going to provide a much better experience to the buyer are actually going to lose. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I believe that, sales should be based on value. And unfortunately, I see quite a few companies that are really proud that, the SDR team is the best because they can convince everybody to pick up the phone, or their sellers can sell anything to anybody. And I think, I think we need to change it. I think we really need to focus on value. And that's for me also a part of an experience. How do we enable the buyer in 5 seconds, in 10 seconds, in 1 minute, because they don't want to allow or afford any more time for it. How can we allow them to understand that this is right for them? We don't want to social hack the, hey, let's talk about your baseball team or your basketball team. We really want to be focusing on value. And I think technology with the right content, with the right experience, is going to be able to solve that.
Let's dive in a little bit deeper. We're talking about technology, but we're also talking about humans.
Yes.
And, I suppose we're talking a little bit about AI, both AI and technology on the full spectrum. How do we create the right mix? Or is there the right mix?
Yeah, that's a question that I'm getting a lot, and I've been thinking about this a lot. But you know what? I've done a presentation to a group of 400 founders about 2 weeks ago, and I've asked, okay, anybody in the room that likes to speak with a junior salesperson, please raise their hand. Nothing, of course. Everybody in the room that actually wants to get a spam email, raise your hand. Nobody did it. But yet we are doing it to our customers. And I've done it before in my previous company. So I think there are parts in the go-to-market motions that don't necessarily need a human being and don't necessarily need a person. What they do need is a trusted advisor. So again, as a prospect, what I really need, at least for the first part of the journey, is really quick understanding without any effort whether this product is good for me or not. Imagine you can go, to a website of a company, and you know that you can pick the brain of the founder. Yeah, you would be happy to actually, speak or chat with something like this. But if I'm going to tell you, you have to speak with a junior person that between us, we know that their job is simply to just push us along the journey, right? They need to discover a bit and qualify, but we're not getting any value. So I think that part, technology and AI, can actually do a much better job creating a relationship between the buyer and the company better than a junior person. Further ahead in the process, I think it really depends on the product. If you're buying a $500,000 product, you need to buy with people, and there's nothing that can replace that. If you're buying, a simple product, $10,000 product, maybe you don't need to. But I think, Brian, each one of us actually buys differently. Some people say, I don't want to speak with anybody. If you're selling to a technical audience, they don't want to speak with anybody. You can force them that. Other people say, no, I have to speak with anybody. Some people like to see, long videos to understand. Some of us like to actually just read the shortcut in the email. We buy in a different way. And that's also what I think about the human relationship in the sales process. It's really personal. It's really different. And we can't force what we think as a company onto our buyers.
So in a sense, you're saying technology can get to know what each person wants and serve that up?
Yeah, imagine what would happen if that would be the case, right? It's going to be a win-win because I will know how Brian likes to buy and I will provide him with the best experience. And the best experience is a combination of the content, the user interface, the timing, the process, but we can adjust those things to the buyers.
Wow. Yeah, there are so many different variations that it would only it would seem to me to take technology to understand that. How does it know? Is it a intent to buy, or is there a magic wand that it waves and just says based upon history? Like there's a part of me just like has this huge question mark of where is the secret sauce here?
First of all, we need to remember we're just in the beginning of a journey, right? Even at my company at Salespeak and AI, even now, it's much more mature than it was even 6 months ago. So the technology keeps improving. I'm amazed every day by what we can do and what AI can actually do. So I think the secret sauce is really using AI. I think there are two types of, okay. I think there are two ways to actually use AI. A lot of companies is using AI for automation. Let's take the current process and just automate it, maybe a bit improve it. The other way is actually use AI for intelligence. And I think AI can learn a lot of things, can actually reflect back a lot of things. AI can look at something and learn much quicker than any person that I know. AI can speak about many aspects of the company, the product, the vision, technology, roadmap, competition, pricing, whatever it is. And AI can learn because there's going to be a lot of data that you will be willing to provide. I mean, I would be very happy to tell everybody how am I buying, and provide me with the right experience. That's not a secret. It's not a personal information. That's the way I buy, and I think people will be much more agreeable to give this kind of information because in return they're getting what they need. They're getting the right experience for them.
Yeah, I can see that. I would be one of those people to tell it right away. This is how I prefer to interact. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you see there being where is the nature for transparency in that process of understanding for the buyer to know this is AI versus this is a
Okay.
real human?
I have a very strong and clear opinion about it. It needs to be completely transparent. People need to know that they're speaking with AI. But let me tell you something, based on, again, the last few months, I spoke with many, 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 many people. A lot of them actually prefer to speak with an AI. And the reason they prefer to speak, again, the beginning of the process, I'm not saying, again, all the process, but if you would have a choice between, I want to speak with a salesperson that might be good, but again, their knowledge is probably limited, or with an AI that is a trusted advisor that knows everything and can actually help you. A lot of people actually choose to actually start the discussion with AI because, one, it really knows a lot of things that, again, not one person can actually know that. But more important for them, it's not going to nag you. It's not going to send you 5 emails after that. There are no emotions. You can say, I don't want it, and that's it. Nobody's going to get insulted or offended on the other side. So I think there are a lot of people that, at least the beginning of the process, right now, prefer to speak with an AI. And I'm betting because of, ChatGPT and Bard and Copilot, people are going to start to get to use to speak with an AI all the time. Now, when I say speak, it doesn't have to be, like voice. It could be chat. It could be text. It could be other ways. But people, I'm saying right now, there's a pretty, big segment of people that really like to communicate with an AI even better than people right now.
Thank you for that. I couldn't agree more, and I'm fascinated with where this might head because there's nuances of at the beginning of a conversation, which is where we're talking right now, where emotion is really a big reason for why people are going to purchase or want to purchase anyway. They're heading down the path because they were met with some emotion, whether it's desire or frustration, or they're feeling a need for some emotion, whether it's the company or themselves. How do you think that we'll get past that or work through that emotion where currently I don't believe, or at least from what limited knowledge I have, that emotion is not it's not there. It's not fully developed yet enough that it could meet that need. Am I right? Am I on the right
No,
track?
no, I think you're right, and I think again technology will evolve. I don't think technology needs to replace everything that we do 100%. I think it needs to add a layer, and it could be different. But I would argue that technology can lead you to an emotion. It can make you feel. If you remember the first time you actually chatted with ChatGPT, I was like, I didn't expect that. I was blown away. And I felt something. I felt, again, a new type of experience. It's a different feeling or a different emotion than I would speak with, with a person. But I do think that you can if you do the right thing, you can actually use technology with the right experience for emotions. I saw the Apple Vision Pro on the weekend. It is amazing. It makes you think, and I felt things. Uh, Again, did I feel the same emotions that if I would be speaking with a person in a coffee shop? Probably not, but I think you can use it. And all I'm saying is we need to remember that we can use technology to do much better things than the current broken go-to-market process we have right now. Again, I'm not thinking about let's use AI to replace dating. Maybe other people are doing it, but I do think that we have a completely broken go-to-market process and sales process, and that's why I think technology could do a much better job replacing that part.
So there's this thing that we call value. What is the value of that thing that we're buying, that we're all aware of, and how we value it? Do we value it so deeply that we need this thing right now, or is it kind of like a let's put it on the back burner for later? And in the sales process, something or someone who's really good at delivering value will create a faster sale. How do you think that we can reintroduce a higher level of value in what we're talking about here into that sales experience?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because, I've worked with a lot of salespeople, and, let's say the top 10% are amazing, really amazing. I've learned so much from them. The other ones are good, but all they can do is run a script, and if everything falls by the script, it's great. What I like to think about, and that's something that, again, we're trying, is imagine, let's remove for a second from the equation the word salesperson, and replace that with the founder. My thought process and my argument is that if a buyer would speak with the founder would be able to do, again, exactly this. They would be able to understand if that's the right time for the customer, what needs to be changed, speak about everything in that kind of discussion, and really have a value-based conversation. Again, not hacking. I don't think we can create a problem when there's not a problem, but we can really explain that and guide that customer to the journey that fits them. And I think 99.9% of the founders that I speak with do that based on value. I would never sell something that we don't have, or I would never sell something that I don't think it's a good fit for the customer. I'm confident enough to say that's not for you, or that's not the right timing. But also confident enough to say you're looking at it from the wrong, point of view. Here's what you need to do. And again, being a founder allows you to have this kind of confidence. I'm telling our team that we're developing a sales brain, that the level of conversation I'm expecting should be almost at the founder level. Again, I don't want to be, let's replicate the best salesperson in the world. I actually want to, move it into, can we do a founder level discussion, even at, day zero with the prospect that they don't know anything. I think it's going to be a win-win. I think that kind of experience is going to be good for the buyer and good for the company.
So that's fascinating to me. My mind just went like 1,000 different places at once when you said that, because I can think of like a founder thinks it's they think about everything. They think about everything, maybe to a fault.
Yeah.
Maybe to a fault. They're thinking about ops. They're thinking about accounting. They're thinking about sales. They're thinking about HR. They're thinking about everything. Where does it?
I approve this message.
How does that even take shape into what's ahead for you? Like that just sounds like wow. How do you even begin to replicate something like that?
Yeah. Well, again, it's a long journey. We're starting it, and it's also, think of it, it's a long sales process or a difficult sales process in B2B. I wouldn't, I don't want to lie and say I have answers for how the entire sales process is going to look like in 3 years. I think it's going to be completely different than what it is today. And I have some ideas, but again, right now we're focusing on the first part, on the journey, and the task there is easier. Because again, a prospect doesn't want to spend 30 minutes with you. By the way, a prospect doesn't want to even see a demo. What I want to do is spend 2 minutes with you, see 20 seconds of something, and say, wow, I trust it. I'm willing to spend my time in the sales process. And that's what we're focusing on right now. I am very busy, always thinking about what you say, how we take that into the entire process. And again, and I know the entire process has to involve other people as well, and not just technology. That's that's why I'm very excited, because it's a very difficult problem to solve. But I think it's a very painful problem, both for the buyer and both for the seller. I've experienced that, in my previous company. I've led the sales organization for many years. I've sold myself. I'm being sold to all the time as an executive. As a founder, I was on a lot of sales calls with my sales team. I saw all those challenges, all the frustration, and I'm really excited because right now the technology allows us to be able to tackle this.
Let me. I want to shift a little bit into one area that at least it's starting to pop up, and I would love to know if you have some thoughts on this, which is the robot. I want to say the robot to human standpoint. I wrote a book called Human to Human, and now I'm interested in the robot to human aspect because people are popping up with phone calls. I don't know if you've seen this, where you actually have a conversation with a human voice that is not human, and it's kind of a little bit creepy, a little, to where you are talking in variables with another machine that's responding based upon your response. And I have yet to see, that like it misses that element of that, almost I want to say human or a soul. Let's go with soul. It doesn't have that soul in their voice or in their where they're coming from. And so I'm curious, is that something that you're exploring, and where could it will it develop one? Will it start to develop a soul so that it really
Yeah.
does feel real?
It's funny. I completely agree. First of all, I don't think that the quality of those voice conversation are is good enough, and I don't think it resembles a human being conversation. But I also think it's a matter of perception, because you went on these calls or listened to these calls expecting there would be a person. If you would be expecting that there's an AI behind it, and personally don't like the words robot or bots. It's an AI. Um, Maybe your expectations have changed, but here's something funny. I'm always debating, with my co-founder. He's the CTO, whether we want to include voice in our solution right now. And when I think about it, I tell him, listen, I don't see myself, opening a laptop and speaking with an AI. It's difficult for me. And then we finish our conversation. I go out to my car and I tell the car, drive me here, navigate here, open, the heat. I already speak with something. So I think I'm convinced that voice would be much better in a year or 2 years. I'm convinced that we'll make fun of this discussion. How can we not think about, the people, if I would tell you, or even myself 2 years ago, that we could have a very intelligent discussion, even chatting with a computer, that will blow my mind away, I would say no way, maybe in 20 years. So I think technology is much more advanced. Completely agree. Right now, it is a bit creepy, but I think it will change. And one of the things we're doing is really considering how we can embed voice also in our solutions. But I think it's going to be later next year.
Wow, I could go into so many different splinters off of what you just said, because it really is mind blowing how fast it's developing and how quick we're this is faster than how we first got electricity. When we first got the calculator, people were picketing out front because they thought that this was, going to ruin society. And now we're looking at AI going, this could help and it could ruin society. But I still see, like, through everything that you're saying, that as long as we're transparent, as long as we're creating this human soul, if you will, or a soul like with transparency, that we're going to create more connections so that eventually we can have a real conversation. That's
Yeah,
what
and
I'm
I want
taking
to, and
out.
I completely agree, and I want to double down on this because I think for me the main principle one is you have to be transparent. Like there's not, there's no other choice. But the second thing you said, soul, and I know it's a difficult, word to explain exactly what it is, but I want to also add something which is value, and I think that your perception, for example, of those phone conversations would be completely different if you would gain so much value from it. I think what really bothers me right now that a lot of companies are using the technology just to spam and just to send you more and just replace the junior salespeople that were actually doing this, but not actually thinking about can we provide more value to the customer. And I think that's a miss. I think AI could be used for automation, but can actually also be used to provide much more value for the customer. And again, I'm willing to pay with feeling less or identifying that this is a machine because I'm going to get more value out of it. And I think, again, that's a win-win.
Absolutely. Hey, I would rather order my food using an app and not talking to somebody and having it delivered. Even the guy that delivers to my door, we share maybe 5 words, if that. And by the time I get the food, I am a happy customer. I've done almost zero interaction with everyone. Sometimes they even just drop it off on the front door, and I'm happier.
Yeah, and I know many B2B companies are really concerned about it, and they don't think that what's relevant in B2C is relevant in B2B. But I can share with you other things. I'm mentoring a lot of young founders and entrepreneurs. This young generation, they don't want to speak with anybody. They want to chat. They want to get the result right now. They will be willing to spend time with somebody once they gain enough trust. So again, that's why I'm really excited because I think a good use of AI would be really to enhance this experience, but also provide a controlled experience for the seller. It's not, okay, go and speak with an AI. It's really defining the way that you want to sell with the value points that you want to emphasize, but with the right experience for the buyer as well.
Last piece before I dive into the hardest question of them all. Of course, I'm kidding. But the last piece I want to talk about here in this segment is social media, because that is at the beginning of the buyer's journey. Where does that now, or where do you think it will? And just, I mean, we can't predict 2 years, 5 years, but maybe just in the next little bit, do you think it'll still continue to play a role at the beginning of the buyer's journey?
I think so. I think a lot of, I would say, entry points and digital journeys are valid. Again, depends on who you sell to and what they're doing. Again, we spoke about older generation versus younger generation. So probably, again, the younger generation doesn't use Facebook. They're using other things as well. Technology people using Discord. I do think that social technology or social places are an amazing place for people to learn. I really hope that companies are not going to abuse this and again just spam everybody because AI can do a lot of things quicker. But I hope that companies are going to use it to provide more value. Maybe again tomorrow when you go into LinkedIn, there's going to be an AI that you can chat with them. Maybe that's going to provide you with more value. Again, things that I think we, as a technology society, we should explore. But if we are transparent and if we make sure that we focus on providing value, I think that's going to be a good solution.
Amen. Amen. We are brothers from another mother, I can tell. Uh,
Not
not
just
just
because of the
from
hairstyle, right?
Not just because I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's right. Same barber.
Yeah.
So your that last question, and I know the hardest one of them all, which is the most interesting piece about you as well, is that you're a pilot in training,
I
and
am.
you also have a fear of heights.
I
How
do.
does
I do.
that work?
That's so funny, but also exciting. I started, in my pilot learning of studies about a year and a half ago. I'm taking it slowly, and it was never something I dreamt about. I was just wanted to see how it looks like, and I wanted to tackle my fear of heights. And the amazing thing is that once I'm on the plane, and those are small planes, right? I don't feel fear of heights. And I think the main reason is that I feel that I can be in control. Obviously, right now I'm much more in control than I was a year ago. But even a year ago, when I was just starting, the minute that you can actually hold the wheels, the yoke, and you know that you can steer the plane. For me, that was really easy to conquer my fear of heights, and also the amazing views that we have here in the Bay Area. Highly recommend everybody to take like even 1 hour and go on a plane with an instructor and see what we have over here.
I love it. The fact that you can grab control at any time and take control of the
Yeah,
plane
yeah.
makes everything feel better. That's such a lesson in life.
I've learned a lot, by the way, in my studies in being a pilot because it's a completely new thing that I'm learning. It's not opening a book. I have to learn so many things, and literally, I feel that every week my brain is learning something new. And I think that's, again, exciting for me at this stage of life, be able to learn so many new things, even every week. That's great.
Oh yeah. I feel you. I'm trying to learn Portuguese and I feel like my brain is on overload
Yeah.
every week, but it's certainly fun and there's always something new. But the way that you're doing it and the fear that you're conquering is awesome. And that plays so well into the business and everything else that we just talked about. So thank you. Thanks for sharing. And thank you for sharing across the board. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Uh, no, I think, it's really exciting. I think we're in a period of a combination of new technology, new expectation, new processes that have to emerge from that. And I think that everybody that is creating or starting a new company right now is going to be an amazing journey and really great things ahead of us.
Well, I can't wait to follow your path and your company's path and see what's in store for what you guys are building. Thank you so much for sharing on
Thank you,
Leadtail
Brian.
TV.
I
Thank you.
really appreciate the time and happy to speak with you.
You as well. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.